Okay, a very good evening, one and all. Welcome to Buddhist Mahavihara's Facebook page here at the live sessions that we're having every Friday and every Sunday. This evening, we have tried something new for the first time. Instead of a Bante giving a Dhamma sermon, we have two Bantes at the same time simultaneously here in the studio with us, who's actually going to answer your questions. And they will do this live in a short while. We have Bante Sankicha, who's actually from the States, from Michigan in the States, but currently he's based in Sri Lanka because of the COVID pandemic. And we also have Bante Jinananda, who is in Canada, and he's coming to us live from Canada. We were only expecting a handful of questions actually when we first started this program, thinking that we won't have that many questions. But in the past few days, we were actually inundated with so many questions that now I've just spoken to the two Bantes, and I think we'll have to extend this to over 3 sessions. One session will not do because there are so many questions that our devotees would like answered. So, without much ado, I would like to bring on our two invited guests this evening, Bante Sankicha and Bante Jinananda. Good evening, Bantes, and good morning to Bante Jinananda.
Good evening. Good evening to you, Leslie Tilak.
Yeah. Wait. Bante, your mic.
Yes.
Bante,
Sorry.
Bante Sanki.
Okay, can you hear me?
Okay, right. Now
Sorry.
yes. And we hear the koal at the background as well.
Right. We have outdoor still.
Yeah, we have some special effects in the background. So let me introduce the two monks to you before we start. Bante Y. Sankicha was born in Kandy, Sri Lanka in 1976. He entered the monastic life at the age of 15 in 1991 at the Sis Buddha Dhamma International Monks Training Center in Kandy. Soon after his higher ordination in 1996, he moved to Australia where he lived for 4 years until he moved to the Great Lakes Buddhist Vihara in Michigan, USA in 2001. Bante Sankicha received his BA degree in psychology from Wayne State University in Detroit, Michigan. He also has a master's degree in counseling psychology from the Oakland University in Michigan, USA, and he's currently the abbot of Great Lakes Buddhist Vihara and is engaged in many social and religious services both locally and internationally. Now, as a meditation and Dhamma teacher, Bante Sankicha helps many people, including teens and adults, by providing them with Buddhist spiritual counseling. And now we have Bante N. Jinananda. Bante Jinananda Thero is a Sri Lankan Buddhist monk who is currently the chief incumbent monk of the Hilda Jayawardena Ramaya Buddhist Monastery and Meditation Center in Ottawa, Canada. Bante has a postgraduate diploma in Buddhist studies from the University of Kelaniya, Sri Lanka, and also a Bachelor of Education degree from the University of Colombo, and a Master's of Arts from the Wilfrid Laurier University in Canada. Bante Jinananda is also the Director and Vice President of the Buddhist Congress of Canada. Venerable also has conducted samatha and vipassana meditation retreats and given Dhamma sermons in various parts of the world. He has also provided counseling and spiritual guidance to various Buddhist communities in Canada. So that is the profile of both our monks. So without much ado, I will now hand the stage to our two monks. Bante Sankicha will start the Q&A session. This session is actually called Ask the Teachers Anything. So we have start with the first question. I will take Bante Jinananda off the screen together with myself and leave Bante Sankicha to answer the first question.
Hello, hi. Hi, everybody. So we are very happy to be with you all in this evening to share the Dhamma with you all. So we have the first question. It is mentioned that the Buddha Dhamma is against the stream. Why? By Bro David. So this is very common concept or idea in the teachings. As you can remember, you may have learned this thing from various Dhamma teachers. So why is it said that the Buddhism is against the stream? So we have to know, we have to learn what is the stream, in what context this term stream is being used in the teachings. One place where it explains the stream, as commonly, if you can remember, we have the term as stream entry, right? Stream entrant is explained as the very first stage of enlightenment, sotapanna, right? So as we can see, this is one stream towards the enlightenment, or you may call it the spiritual path, spiritual journey. So this is one stream. So the other stream is what is going away from the enlightenment, or the total purification of the mind. So these are the two opposite directions, as we can see, right? So the Buddha's teachings are against the normal stream. What it means is that how the normal world is functioning, right? When we come to the very practical Dhamma, here, basically all human beings, if we are only talking about the human beings, they all are driven by the influence or the control of the 5 or 6 senses, right? So we are always led by or controlled by these 6 senses: eyes, nose, tongue, ears, the body, and the mind itself. So this is how we are living in this normal day-to-day life, right? So we are always controlled by these urges. So we call them the 5 senses, or 5 sensual pleasures, basically. So this is how one stream is functioning in the world. So this is not the spiritual path. This is not the path to enlightenment. So that's why in the Dhamma it is explained the Buddha's teachings is against the stream. So these two terms are used in the Dhamma clearly: Anusotagami and Patisotagami. Anusotagami means whatever takes it to be in the normal worldly path or worldly stream. So that is the Anusotagami. That means that person is not strive on diligence to practice the Dhamma or follow any spirituality. That person perhaps has no any spiritual values. He has no any idea about the spirituality or spiritual path. So that is the Anusotagami. So that is towards the world or indulgence in these 5 senses, right? So that's where people develop all the mental impurities, negative conditions that are conducive to suffering. We call it the samsara. So we can call this common stream as the samsara. Samsaric journey itself can be identified as the Anusotagami, that is conducive to travel through this existence if we follow that extreme. But the Buddha's teachings, when Buddha came and he became enlightened and realized the Four Noble Truths and became a person who completely liberated himself from the samsaric suffering and attained the supreme bliss of enlightenment, nibbanic peace. So there he explained the path leading to the cessation of suffering or to the enlightenment is totally different from the normal stream that people usually take, right? So as we can see, the Buddhist teachings basically always against the mental impurities, right? We always talk about the purification of the mind, how to get rid of our anger, jealousy, the attachment for the sensual pleasures. As we can see, this is the opposite direction that normal people take, right? So in that context, it is explained the Buddha's teachings are against the normal stream. Okay, that is the meaning. But in the Dhamma, it is explained as a different stream. When one is enters into the noble or the enlightenment stream, that's a that is far beyond the normal stream. So that is towards the enlightenment, right? So so here we can see that idea, that concept, the stream against the stream, anusotagami or patisotagami, the path going against the normal stream, is explained and used in different contexts in the Dhamma. I think that can be clear. If you have any question, we can ask. And the second question is: karma the same as fate? How does karma work? By Sister Gladys, if I read it correct. So this is also a very common topic in the teachings, right? As we always learn about the karma. So this is one of the unique teachings of the Buddha. The teachings on the karma. So we always get to learn about it in different contexts, in different meanings, in terms of how this karma is affecting us, how we accumulate karmas in different ways, right? Part of the question is, what is the karma? We have to understand. In the Dhamma, it is explained, Chetanaham bhikkhave kammang vadami, which is basically for all our intentional actions, physical, verbal, and mental, they are going to be a consequence accordingly, right? So this is a very basic teaching of the Buddha. So we learn from very early age this theory of karma that way, right? We have to reap what we sow. That is the basic understanding about the theory of karma. So one aspect of this karma is that whatever we perform as actions, intentional actions, we cannot simply avoid the consequence of it. We definitely have to reap the consequence. We have to go through the result. So there's no any escape. As we learn, even enlightened ones, Buddha or any other enlightened beings, even they cannot escape the results of the karma. So this is one Dhamma in the Panchaniyama. As we learned in the Dhamma, there are different 5 phenomena in the world, how things happen, including with the human life and this existence. One of them is the theory of karma, kammaniyama we call. All right, so it's a very common phenomenon that it is not governed by any one supernatural power or agent in the universe, but we as individual are responsible for what we are doing, how we perform our intentional actions. But when we hear the word fate, to me it kind of sounds like it's already imposed on us, right, by someone. Fate, you can see these both terms as similar too. I mean, as far as the simple meaning, literal meanings are concerned, but the fate sounds like you cannot control it. You are definitely going to be controlled by the fate, right? But even though I said that we cannot avoid the karma, in the Buddha's teachings, there are ways of controlling our karmas. That part of the teachings are very interesting. You know, how can we control the karma? Can we get the control over our own karma and reactions to our own karma? There are certain places that Buddha explains how we can control our own karma or the consequences of our own karmas. Basically, no one can, even a Buddha or enlightened one, cannot avoid major karmic consequences of certain karma, like we call them the pancha anantariya karma. like killing of a father, mother, or an enlightened one, shedding of the blood of the Buddha, and also the Sangha Veda. So to divide the unity of the spiritual community, these kind of basic uh, powerful karmas, the consequences of them cannot be avoided by anyone, no matter who. But for certain minor karmas, you can have the control. You can control the consequences of them by practicing the Dhamma, especially by practicing mindfulness, wisdom, and all the qualities that we learn in the Dhamma. It is a kind of way to gain even the control of our own karma. So that is why we learn in the Dhamma, by attaining the enlightenment, one ends uh, enormous consequences of karma. Uh, so that is a part of the enlightenment, right? So the teachings of the karma is very complex. There are various of classifications, how they are performed as physical, mental, verbal, and how when they are going to be effective to us in this very lifetime, right immediately after somebody dies, and throughout the existence until we attain the enlightenment, things like that. So it's a very broad topic. It can be a very different one whole Dhamma sermon. So for now, I think this short answer would be sufficient for the question, I guess.
Yes, thank you, Bante. Those were the two questions that we have posed to you. Now we will move on to Bante Jinananda for another two questions, and then we'll bring you back again for the next session.
Sure.
Welcome, Bante. So then I'll post the two questions to you on the screen.
Okay, thank you very much, Tilak, for joining me with this wonderful discussion. It's nice that I am with Bante Sankicha in the same virtual panel. The question I got is: is it necessary for us to breathe in and out slowly and deeply as breathing exercise for meditation? This question is asked by Katherine Live. It's a very good question because a lot of people ask this question because of the complexity of the in and out breathing meditation. Let me bring your attention that the meditation on in and out breathing is the meditation that the Buddha developed for his enlightenment, and he mentioned it several times in discourses that this is one of the complete menu for enlightenment. If I remind you that Buddha's advice to Venerable Rahula and many other monks, he said that this is the meditation that the Buddha do usually when he is not preaching, when he's not going on Pindapata, when he's not doing anything else. This is the very meditation that he practiced in his free time. Therefore, this meditation is deep, and there are many aspects of Dhamma we could have, address in this breathing meditation. The question is whether we need to breathe in and out slowly and deeply in the meditation. According to the Anapanasati Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, the Sutta number 118, we do not find such things that we need to intentionally breathe in deeply or slowly or fast or whatever ways, but we have to be mindful. Let's take the word anapanasati, in and out breathing. It means that we have to be mindful about the in-breath and out-breath as they happen. However, as teachers, we also instruct people to take a couple of lungful intentional breathings at the beginning of the meditation, because people were not in mindfulness practice before the meditation session. In order for them to get into the right track, we ask meditators to take such practices at the very beginning. But technically, we can say that we have to let the natural breath function as it is. Then we bring our attention undivided, unbroken, mindful attention to the breath and establish there at the nostril, or some people advise look at the belly. So whatever the place we focus, technically we have to be mindful about the natural breath. So that's how the discourse says about the breathing style. At the same time, I just want to make a note that Anapanasati, or in and out breathing meditation, is named like that because we take the subject of meditation, breath. If you look at the 16 steps of Anapanasati, right after the 4 steps at the very beginning, we prominently focus not the breath, but other mental and physical aspects, basically mental aspects. Rapture, pleasure, born out of concentration, and mindfulness develops there, and the concentration develops there. So we have to focus these aspects more than the breath, because our mind has that capacity when we go forward and look deeply. So at the very beginning, we focus the breath as it happens, and then we move our attention towards physical and mental aspect in the long run. So Anapanasati is such that we take the breathing as a tool to focus our mind, and then we go on to different aspects of our mind. So here we need to understand that the meditator on Anapanasati should realize the whole picture of the body and mind before they get into meditation. Then, in my understanding, we practice mindfulness just before the Anapanasati. That's why I referred to some discourses at the very beginning, the Maharahulovada Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya. The Buddha said to Venerable Rahula that you have to practice preparatory meditation to get ready for in and out breathing meditation. With that kind of experience, you have less hindrances and disturbances, and get into the Anapanasati to get more results, good results in the meditation. So look at the word. Let me say these 2 words just for further clarification. Buddha said in the first steps of Anapanasati, Digang va asa santo, digang asa samiti pajanadi. It means that the meditator understand I breathe in long and I breathe out long. So the word we use, pajanati, means understanding. We do not make any force to the breath, but we understand that the breath is going long out, long in. And when it comes to the short breath, it happens naturally. If you look at a small child sleeping, when the child is sleeping, you may look at the child for a couple of minutes, maybe 10 or 5 minutes. You can see that the child is take a long in-breath and long out-breath after a while. That is because this body needs breathing much more than usual after 5 minutes. So this means to us that the breathing happens naturally, and we have to focus it, and then we can go forward with the develop mindfulness. I think according to the time available for one questions, I can give this kind of answer. So basically, we do not need to think about the slow breath, deep breath, long breath, short breath. They happens naturally. It is the breath, the breath is taken by the body for the need. to circulate the blood to make this body living. So it happens in its own way. We have to do mindful about the breath as it is. So that's the answer that I could give for this question. And we do. So I'm going to the second question now. You can see the question. It is from Miss Lai, Meng, Fong, and Mr. Gill, I think. The question is, if my karma is due to my own act of good and bad, how can merits be transferred by the others, and how can these merits affect my karma, and vice versa? Isn't each being responsible for his or her own karma? Yeah, it's one of the crucial questions to answer because we do not have any practical experience of the afterlife. But anyway, I can give you a very good answer for this. Yeah, without a doubt, as Bhante Sangich also mentioned in his answer to a question, the person should be responsible about the karma, and the karma is the intention. So when we do karma things intentionally, the results would be for that person, without a doubt. So when we go to the transferring merits and related Dhamma facts, we can say that as the karma of his own coming from of his own action, at the death moment and also after this life, he or she should get all these karmic results. Then why we transfer merits to departed relatives, and why we take so much emphasis on that in the day-to-day life? We cannot see this scenario at the Buddha's time. There is one incident happened to King Kosala. He saw a couple of dreams about various beings, and he went to the Buddha and reported the matter. Then the Buddha explained the reason why he saw the dream, and in that explanation he said that you had a lot of relatives in the past lives who did not do any good things. Now they are in ghost realm. They are seeking meritorious powers from you to get out of that suffering. So then the Buddha advised King Kosala to do dana and other meritorious deed and transfer merits to them. As a result, they would be okay. They would go out of that kind of suffering. From that onward, we can see that people time by time offer dana and do other meritorious deed, transfer merits to departed people. But we cannot expect that each and every relatives and friends who passed away reborn in ghost realm. We do not know. Only the enlightened Buddhas or Arahant who have the power to know about the life cycle could be able to tell us where these relatives and friends are reborn. This being the case, it is good to do dana in the name of parents, relatives, friends, and anyone you like. But at the same time, we have to understand that transferring merits is not because of everyone needs good, meritorious powers. Only one category of ghosts could receive our blessings, that is called Pardattupajivi, one of the realms that beings reborn, and they are looking for our help. They are looking for our meritorious powers. So here there are many places that living beings could not get meritorious powers. Suppose if your friends passed away and reborn in human realm, they could not get our meritorious powers. And even in the divine world, in animal kingdom, and then the hell, there are such places that those beings could not support with our meritorious powers. Anyway, we give merits because it is our practice. So, the dana or any meritorious deed is not for somebody else's benefit. According to the Buddha's teaching, they should be done to clarify our mind, to cleanse our mind, or to develop Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, or to support for that practice. As a result, based on our compassionate mind, or to develop our compassion, we transfer merits to divine being and relatives who passed away. The very idea there is our compassion, development of our kindness. So I think if we understand the karma and how living beings reborn and pass away, and what kind of things cause for them to reborn in such a place, we can understand clearly what we should do in transferring merit. So, in my understanding, each person should be responsible for whatever things they did, and that helped them to reborn in the places in the samsara if they did not attain to any level of enlightenment. And the meritorious powers relatives transfer would be beneficial or not depending on the place they reborn. There would be less chances of receiving merits according to the cycle of birth and death, because there is only one place that living beings should reborn if they want to get merits. So that's the answer. I can give a very long answer for this one, but I think we get only 7 minutes for one question. So if you have more questions about this, please write to us or read the suttas like Thirokudda Sutta in Sutta Nipata and also Tulakama Vibhanga Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya. You can get more information about karma. Thank you.
Thank you, Bante. I know we have put you in a spot because we only allow you about 5 to 6 minutes per question, and some of the questions are pretty interesting. I know it's a challenge for you to actually answer a question. I know even Bante Sankhitta is having the same problem because some of these topics you actually can give a whole Dhamma sermon, and here we're trying to squeeze it within 5 minutes. So we, as far as our listeners are concerned, please try to appreciate that the monks are trying to do their best to keep within time. So thank you, Bante Jinananda. We'll see you in a short while again. I'll bring on Bante Sankhitta. Welcome, Bante. You have moved locations. I see.
Good to be back. It's dark
Okay,
outside now.
Okay, now I'll pose the next question to you.
Yes. Yeah. I'm just a novice. Who are devas, and how do we learn more about them? How can we pray to them? By Bro David. Okay. So this is also a very common question that many people ask from us. We have a concern about this idea about the devas, right? So commonly we call them the gods, deities, angels, whatever the term you use, right? So this question is based on the Buddha's special teachings on different realms of existence, right? So there are different places that different beings are born according to their performed karmas, as we have been explaining now, Bante Jinananda and myself, related to many questions. So different beings are born in different places according to their own karmas. So the realms are explained as these different unique places for different living beings. So in the teachings, when Buddha attained enlightenment, especially, he could see how these different beings are born in different planes of existence depending on their own karmas, especially with the Chatupapada Jnana, we call. Buddha had a special skill, psychic power to see how different beings are born in the samsaric journey. So one of the realms are the Deva realms, or heavenly abodes, we can call. So in the Dhamma, there are 31 realms of existence. As we learn, different places, different beings can be born. So we can put every single living being into these categories, So the Devas are especially born as a result of performing many positive, good, wholesome karmas. So they are called the Devas. And how it is explained in many of the sutras, they are heavenly beings having all the sensual pleasures, having no any physical or mental suffering. It's full of happiness. It is a heaven. That's why we call it the heaven. We all want to be born. Sometimes, as worldly people, really want to be born in those existence. And in Buddha's teachings also, sometimes Buddha praised these realms of existence because it's a kind of higher or advanced level of this evolutionary process, because the enlightenment, when it is explained as a process of evolution, so the realm of the devas, divine realms, can be a higher level, and also human realm is another advanced level, right? That's why Buddha is born only in the human realm of existence. So, by the way, when we use the word Deva, especially according to the Dhamma, I remember actually one of the Bhantes gave you one particular Dhamma talk on this topic. What is the concept of Devas in Buddhism, right? As I remember, he also explained there are different Devas explained in the Dhamma. They are called the Sammuti Deva, Uppatti Deva, and Parisuddha Deva, as I remember. So these different Devas are Sammuti Devas are special individuals who live in this world, but they are to be having a special respect, as you can see, right? So there are many different human beings. People are doing a unique service to the world, community, love, charity to the community. So people respect them as gods. They are called the Sammuti Deva. And even after they are dead and gone, still we remember them. Still we respect them. Sometimes you may build a statue on behalf of them, right, in their names. So they are called the Sammuti Devas. And Uppatti Devas are the exact divine beings who are born in heavenly realms of existence due to their many positive good karmas. So they are to be having a long lifespan. They live a long time as a result of these good karmas. And some of the devas are we call them the Samya Drustika and Michya Drustika. Some gods or devas can be like having interest in the Buddha's teachings, and some are not. Some are engaged in the positive karmas, still, even though they are born because of their good karmas, having no knowledge about how the theory of karma works, still they can engage in bad and wrong negative actions. So Samyadhistika Deva, who are performing good karmas, good actions, having a better understanding how they were born because of their own good karmas. So they keep continuing that path. So some devas even attain enlightenment, like Sotapanna, stream entry level of enlightenment, listening to the Buddha's teachings, like the Sakradeva. the god of heaven. So they are the Uppatti Deva. The Visuddhi Devas are the individuals, spiritual beings who attain the enlightenment, right? By mental purification, they became the Devas. They became highly respected, right? Like Buddha or any other enlightened being. So they are called the Visuddhi Deva. By purification of the mind, they are called the Devas. Okay. So the idea of Deva is also very complex in the teachings. There's another category called Brahma realm. So they are also commonly called the Devas. They are also uh, supernatural beings born in heavenly realms because of their spirituality, spiritual practice. And uh, so we can learn about them, especially in the Samyutta Nikaya. There's one separate chapter called Devata Samyutta. That part is very interesting. Many different deities, gods came to the Buddha with very interesting questions, sometimes very deep Dhamma questions. They were very much interested in Buddha's teachings. So you can learn especially about the Devas and how they were related to the Buddha Sasana in that Devata Samyutta, in the Samyutta Nikaya. And how can we pray to them as a part of the question? So normal human beings like to pray for the gods. So that is okay. But according to the Buddhist teachings, how we pray to the gods is that we perform good, positive, wholesome karmas, and we share the merits with them. We transfer merits to the devas. So those who are interested in these positive blessings, they can see us, they can watch us, and still even they can be part of our good actions, and they can receive the blessings from us. So that is the best way to respect the divine beings. So in the teachings, it is explained that devas, being very happy to see we share the merits with them, they can even protect you, they can even bless you. If you receive the blessings of the devas, you are going to be very fortunate, according to the Buddha's teachings, even some places, as it explains. So best way to do good actions, wholesome actions, meritorious deeds, and transfer them or share the merits with the devas. So that would be a sufficient answer to that particular question. The next question is that if it is good karma that allows us to live to a ripe old age, then why do we suffer geriatric problems due to age? By Sister Pamela Jayasinghe. Okay, so that's an interesting question. That is also related to karma somewhat. So we always learn that it is a blessing to have a long life, right? It is a common understanding. If we can live long, it's a blessing. But at the same time, we see that many people are going through many problems due to aging, right? So it's a very common experience, common thing that we observe in the world, in human life. So it is very complex, as we can see. The question, of course, we have to have performed good karmas, like support living beings, giving abhedana, to give freedom to other living beings in many ways, and even to support other beings in any possible way. You earn some good karmas that allows you to live long. But if you slaughter animals, if you kill and harm other living beings, it is conducive to have a short life. So it is a blessing, actually. You can look at it in different ways, right? It's up to individuals, I think, because sometimes we hear people say, "Oh, I don't want to live long. I just want to die peacefully without going through any geriatric problems, any physical discomfort or illness." But that is not the case, right? We have to understand the nature of this human life, how this body works, right? Nobody is free from physical problems, illness, old age, and eventually the death, right? So the Buddha's teachings is that we can live longer, that we can practice the Dhamma long, right? For a long time. So that is the purpose of living a long life. Okay, it is a blessing to live a long life, but nobody is free from the geriatric problems. So this is something related to our own karmas too, right? Not everybody suffers from these geriatric problems. Mm. Depending on our own karmas, that is also happening to us. But nobody can escape it. By nature, we all have to go through them, right? Even the Buddha, can you imagine? So Buddha had to go through these conditions as well: aging, sickness, and eventually he passed away, but attained the enlightenment, right? So we have to understand it as a common nature of this human life, this human body. Okay, so I don't know that answer is sufficient or satisfactory to the question, but that is how I can explain the answer to that particular question.
Thank you, Bante. Not a problem, because that's my wife who asked that.
Okay, that's a good question, though.
So, Bante, we'll
Yeah,
come back to you in 10 minutes. We'll let
yeah,
Bante Jinananda now
sure.
take the screen. Bante, this is your question.
Okay, living in a world powered by social media and materialistic ways, how do young people stay grounded? This question is from Sister Rohini Perera, USA. Thank you for the question. So we get this kind of question quite often from parents and adults about their children. If I precisely give an answer to this question, I think the best answer would be we would be able to keep our children close to people who are happy and peaceful. This is the one thing we could do in order to keep our children in the loop. It's a challenge. I know that, because they are in a materialistic world with so many devices around, and the way of thinking is different from us. Therefore, it's not an easy thing. But if we can show them happiness and peace from us practically, they would slowly learn about it. This is actually uh, done by the great disciples for their successors, and by way of showing good qualities by in speech, action, and thoughts, we could be able to take them onto the right track. At the same time, I can add to this that we should allow them to be their own friends with a limitation. Like, sometimes we try to control them just because we value our cultural things back from the country. But we have to understand that their mindset is different from us, and though they are from our blood, they are different human beings. With this understanding, we just want them to stay in their life, but with cautions, let them be their own friends. So then I can say that it is better for us to help them to find their own happiness by way of Dhamma. Sometimes parents ask them to meditate and go to temple, do whatever we do, that because you are our children. I don't think that doesn't work well in some context, because of their age, because of their experience in life, and so forth. But it is better for us to be friendly for them and show our good qualities. Um, it is okay if we do some interesting things in the Dhamma, like going into a pilgrimage and going into temple, not for a long program, but for some meditation like mindfulness. That works well. I have experienced that children like something scientific, something rational, instead of dragging them to pujas and chanting, which usually, we cannot prove that this is scientific, but meditation does work. So that's one thing that's another thing we can do. And the other thing is, stop doing karma that push people away from young people. Sometimes we think over and try our best to transform them into a framework. We shouldn't do that. Try to be again friends of children and young people, and try to make them sense about this. So that's what the Buddha did in his teaching. He came across many young people, and what he did was showing them the karma or the results of karma, and then children, young people can get decisions about it. So this is what we need to do. Practicing meditation on loving kindness and things like that could be working, but we have to think about the nature of children and whether this is suitable for this and that kind of evaluative experience should be there in parents or adults in order to keep our young generation into the right track. Basically, Buddha's philosophy is good. So instead of putting some religious traditional practices on their head, it is better for us to talk to them with scientific, philosophical, psychological aspect of the Dhamma. Then they will understand it. So I think according to the time limit, this is the answer I can give. So we must be realistic about when we deal with the children. So the next question is, why do bad things happen to good people? Sister Greja de Silva from Kuala Lumpur. Okay, this is a very nice question. So I think everything is impermanent. Because of the impermanence theory related to everything, why not good people get unfortunate things? So I want to say that we cannot expect things to be under control by being good. Look at the Buddha's life. He is the self-enlightened Buddha, and he was attacked by Venerable Devadatta, and he was accused by some people baselessly. And when we look at the life story of Venerable Moggallana, he was one of the greatest arahants at the time of the Buddha. So he was attacked by a gang of thieves unto death. And I remember Venerable Sariputta being the highest in wisdom. He was second only to the Buddha. He was attacked by some people, even demons. So without considering the whole picture, we cannot say that why good people get bad things. Being good would be because of Kalyanamitta qualities here and now, because of good society here and now. It may be because of good things you did in the past or not. Or basically, being good cannot control everything in our life. So when we become good and wholesome, our wisdom faculty would be developing more and more to accept everything as they are. So the wise people, when we become wise, no matter what happened to us, we accept all these things with equanimous mind. Then we are not going to analyze them as good and bad. For wise people, they are only occurrences due to causes and conditions. So the wise people at the end look at the paticca samuppada, the dependent co-origination in analyzing problem. So I think things happen for everyone, like earthquakes, floods, and coronavirus is the great example to show that it affects to everyone. It has been affecting to everyone in the world, whether irrespective of good and bad behaviors. So karma is working in a meticulous way that we cannot understand its whole scope, but being good make us happy right now, and it is the way for us to gain nibbana, and we have to accept the other things around the way and on the way to nibbana. So I think we do not expect too much by being good. We have to let go of many things, even good things and bad things. This way, I think we can find a permanent, perfect solutions to our happiness and peace. I think that's the time for the second questions. If you have any more questions, please write on the live comment. I would take into consideration and try to give a detailed answer later on.
Thank you, Bhante. Yes, time's really up, and it's already an hour that we have spent, and you're about only 3/4 of the way. We still got a few more questions to go. Now I'd like to invite Bhante Sankicha back on to the screen. Bhante, this is your question, Bhante.
Yes. What is Pancha Bala Dharma and how to cultivate them? By Bro Eranga Edrisinghe from Sri Lanka. This is very interesting, actually. What are the Pancha Bala? A parallel term would be Pancha Indriya, if you can remember. Pancha Indriya and Pancha Bala we learned in the Dhamma as a very special part of the teachings. They are namely called Saddha, Viriya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya. Okay, Saddha is confidence or the faith, you may call it. Virya is the effort, right effort. Sati is the mindfulness. Samadhi is the concentration. Panya is the wisdom. So these are called Pancha Indriya and Pancha Bala. Let me explain why these 5 spiritual faculties, we call them the 5 faculties, 5 spiritual faculties, and I would be more than happy to identify them as 5 spiritual dynamics, right? So there are different dynamics, aerodynamics, biodynamics, things like that. So these 5 faculties can be the spiritual dynamics. How the spiritual progress, how spiritual development is achieved by cultivating these 5 faculties. That's why they are called the 5 spiritual faculties. Why these same 5 faculties are called the Indriyas and Balas? So these 2 terms we need to learn. How they are explained in the Dhamma is that Indriya, Indra, the word Indra means the chief. Chief always goes in the front, right? Leads the way. That is the duty of the leader, Indra. Bala is a kind of, it is pushing you forward. In that way, they are called the Balas. So these 5 spiritual faculties are working in these 2 unique ways, that they are leading you towards enlightenment and they are pushing you towards the enlightenment in both ways. That's why they are called the Pancha Indriyas and Pancha Bala. Okay, so it has a very unique way of cultivating. Part of the question is asking how to cultivate them. So we can see that there is a sequence in these 5 spiritual faculties. Okay, how anything is started with your faith, with your confidence, right? When you are to begin something with, you have to have a good confidence, better faith in it. It's a very important quality which comes first. That's why it comes first. Saddha comes first. Without saddha, without confidence, there's no path, right? Uh, that's why it comes first. Confidence is very important, especially to the spiritual path. So we have to have confidence in the Buddha. We have to have confidence in the Dhamma and the Sangha. So this is very unique, the very first faculty. And whatever you have the confidence upon, you put your effort towards it, right? That's how the second faculty or the second bala comes into play, right? You put your effort to practice, follow that direction, follow the instructions, follow the teachings. So that is the second one. And as you maintain that right effort, it is explained in the Dhamma very broadly. What is the right effort? This is not the time to explain it, but when you maintain that right effort, you should be maintaining right mindfulness. This is a mistake that many people are experiencing. When they try so hard, they lose mindfulness. It becomes very hard for them to stay mindful, right? So therefore, whenever we try hard, whenever we put up a right effort, we should make sure that if we are maintaining the right mindful awareness. So you can directly apply these techniques to the meditation and equally to any endeavor in your life, everyday life. And the other necessary faculty, spiritual faculty, is the concentration. You should be focused, not waving here and there. Listening to someone, you change your path. Listen to someone else, you change your path. Not like that. You should be grounded. You should be well established in your spiritual path. So that is the concentration. You can look at it in different ways, as it explains in the Dhamma, as there are so many different levels of concentration, as samadhi, the jhana levels, we call them, right? It is a necessary faculty more towards enlightenment. And then, of course, we have to have right understanding, which is the panya. Of course, the better right understanding is the pinnacle of this path with the realization of the Four Noble Truths. So these are called the five spiritual faculties as Pancha Indriya and Pancha Bala. As we can see within these five spiritual dynamics, they are interacting with each other, right? As we cultivate the saddha, the confidence, Buddha always emphasizes that our faith should always go with the wisdom, right understanding. Otherwise, we make mistake. We do foolish things, right? We take the wrong thing as right. So we mess up with everything, right? So therefore, these faculties are interacting, helping each other. You have to see that in your practice. The faith or the confidence should always be cultivated with the right understanding or the panya, and right effort should always go with the mindfulness and concentration. Effort should not allow you to get distracted or discouraged. So that way we can see these spiritual faculties are interacting with each other. So we can see that you can look at them, how these faculties are cultivated, developed within our spiritual practice. Suppose you are trying to meditate. This is the best way to see that directly how these faculties are cultivated within yourself. Okay. Suppose if you see that your meditation is not working, you can look for any of these spiritual faculties. What is missing or what is weak? What do I have to cultivate more? If my faith or confidence is weak, or am I not putting right effort to my practice, or if my mind is scattered, if my mindfulness is correctly established, or my mind is scattered, not in the samadhi level, right, concentrated, and on top of all these things, am I understanding this better? What I am doing, what I exactly want in my life, in my practice, right understanding, wisdom eventually. So your spiritual practice directly as a meditator, you can directly see how these things are cultivated. And the important thing is that you can see how these techniques are, these faculties are used in your everyday life too, even with the life normal life endeavors. You can equally apply these faculties into reach any progress. Okay, so that would be a short answer to the question. All right, let's move to the next question. What are the steps to take to leave this delusion of existence? By Dr. Sarat D. Alves. Okay, so this is a deep question. What are the steps to get rid of the delusion of existence? So that reminds me of the entire teachings, actually, right? The main purpose of the Buddha's great teachings is to eventually let go of this delusion of existence. According to the explanations, the teachings, we can see that we suffer in this life, in this circle of birth and death, getting caught up in that vicious circle as a result of this delusion of existence. So let's understand the meaning of the delusion of existence. What is the delusion of existence? Existence, the term is used in the Dhamma as the Atma, right? The self. The delusion of a self is the delusion of existence. How it is explained in the Dhamma, especially in the dependent origination by the Buddha, it is explained that living beings are attached to this sensual pleasure, right? So this is not a time to go through every single step of the Paticca but directly connecting to the question, as living beings are getting attached to these sensual pleasures, right? They get attached to it. They get attached to sensual pleasures as the tanha. Okay, and when they have the tanha, there they get the feeling of an existence. Oh, there's somebody who is experiencing all these things, who is handling all these things, going through all these experiences. So this is how it is explained in the Dhamma, the identification of a self, or personalizing this entire process, the body-mind phenomena, the body-mind existence, how this process is functioning. We identify this total process as a self. So that is what we call the bhava. The feeling or having a perception of a self is what we call the bhava. This is how we come into existence, right? So this is where the Buddha explains that the whole process of suffering, the mass of suffering, is due to that wrong perception of self, the delusion of existence. Okay, this is where it happens. Technically, according to the Dhamma, according to the Paticca, and it is directly connected to our existence. So we have to go into subtle details on this topic, and it can be reached, it can be addressed actually by getting into deeper level of the practice, especially what we call the vipassana, right? Samatha and vipassana, these both techniques are very important, very essential. So we cannot neglect any spiritual practices here, as sila, samadhi, panya, and all these spiritual practices, as we explain, Shraddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya, all these spiritual qualities are needed to get into that deeper, subtler level. Okay, and what is the how to get there? What is the realization? It is the result or the consequence of the panya, the wisdom. The faculty of wisdom allows us to see that reality. Without taking much time, I would I would like to explain this simple example. How do we see this illusion of existence? Okay, so suppose you take a flashlight. Okay, this is a very common example I give to explain this deep question. You take a flashlight, you light the flashlight, and you get that flashlight to spin very rapidly. You move that flashlight very fast in a circle. Okay, so what would you see when you keep spinning that flashlight? What would you see eventually? So definitely you are going to see a circle of light, right? Circle of light. But if I ask a question from you, is there a circle in reality there? Is there a circle of light there? So you may have different answers, uh, right? So somebody would say there's no circle, there's a circle, so different answers. Okay, but when you are to understand what do you see there as a circle of light, the interesting question is that what created that circle? What created that circle of light? Okay, so in reality, you would say that there's no circle, uh, right? But what created the circle is the rapid motion. The rapid movement of the flashlight itself created that circle, and it became an illusion, right? Because we see that very different lots of simple dots of lights connecting to each other created that one single circle. But in reality, there's no circle. It is an illusion. It is an optical illusion that we don't have the ability to see different spots of the circle. So that illusion itself created the circle for us. So you interact with that circle accordingly. How we interpret that, how you understand, how you perceive that circle. But to prove that there's no circle, what can you do? What steps you can take? You may have different answers to that question too, but the ultimate solution would be you have to stop the motion of the light, or you have to slow it down, right? And then only then you begin to see that there's different dots of lights. There's no circle anymore. That's what you begin to see. Either you completely stop the motion or you slow the process down. And then you begin to see that there's no circle. It was an illusion. So this is exactly what happens in the delusion of existence. So when we move rapidly, when we rapidly move around this world within this psychophysical entity, and as we communicated with this external world through our sense faculties, this is how we process everything within our brain, our nervous system, our neurons, physical chemistry, and everything. This is how we perceive the world. It is such a rapid movement, rapid motion, if you are to understand. There's no any way to even measure, even though the science is so developed today. There's no way to even measure how rapidly these senses are processing these signals in our system, right? So this is how we begin to see there's a self. Just like the motion of the flashlight created the light circle, we feel that naturally. Oh, there's someone who is handling all these things, commanding us to do this and that, right? But to see that, you have to do the same thing. You have to do the same process to see that there's no reality. What do you have to do? Either you have to completely stop the motion, or you have to slow the process down. And this is exactly what we do with the meditation, right? You can clearly connect this simple analogy to your practice. What we begin to see then, when we go into deeper, subtler level of this psychophysical reality existence, with the deep analysis of Vipassana, we get to know that, oh, everything is connected, that everything is due to the presence of necessary conditions, right? Having no any permanent existence or being involved, everything is happening as a causality, causes and effects. So this is where our deep practice is going to end, eliminating the ignorance of existence, delusion of existence, and that is exactly ends the spiritual path. It is the eventual result of the spiritual path. When you begin to see that there's no person being involved here, that is the end of suffering, because we suffer in our life because of that self notion, or the feeling of a self, or personalizing this body and mind, the five aggregates, right? And then it becomes the pancha upadana. So that is the process of suffering. Okay, so this is how we can explain about the delusion of existence and how it is eliminated according to the practice. So basically, we can say that the Buddhas recommended every single step as Sila Samadhi Panya, Shraddha Virya Sati Samadhi Panya, and 7 factors of enlightenment. All these necessary qualities are helpful to complete that journey, to reach that complete understanding of the delusion of existence. Okay, I hope you understood the answer. I tried my best to explain it briefly.
Thank you, Bante. Yes, I think you are really absorbed into answering that question, and it took up a lot of our time as well. But I think I hope Dr. Sarat was able to comprehend and appreciated that answer by Bante Sankitcha. We have to move on. We have the last 3 questions. I would now like to hand the question to Bante Jinananda.
So the question is, can you please explain the term Maggaphala and how does one realize Maggaphala? Is it done through meditation? This is from Brother Jerry Lim. There are 3 questions in one, big questions. Term Maggaphala. I think we could hear that word Maggaphala in Bante Sankitcha's explanation too. Magga is different from Phala. So the one who started the training with moral principles, practiced the Dhamma into the state of Sotapanna, then we can see that one path for enlightenment. So we can see the Magga, or the path, spiritual path, from such level to a level where one attains to Sotapanna. Then we can see the second path practice from Sotapanna level to Sakurdagami, the once returner. So like that, there are 4 Magga, spiritual path, 4 number of 4 Phala or fruition. In that we have 8 Magga Phala. Let me elaborate that a little bit further, then you can understand it well. We have 4 spiritual path practices and 4 fruitions. So that is Maggaphala. The Arahanthood, the full enlightenment is included into that. And Sotapanna, the extreme winner, Sakurdagami, once returner, Anagami, non-returner, and also the full enlightened person are included. And in between, we can paths for different stages. So how does one realize Maggaphala? Which is a very good question. We can understand where we are in the training by looking at our mind. It doesn't mean that we have attained to enlightenment yet, but if we feel that we are self-controlled and we are not satisfied with the 6 sensory experiences as before, that's a kind of confirmation that we have some restraint on 6 senses. The first step of this noble training is, the sense restraint developed through right understanding. So then you are not being able to enjoy the sensual pleasures as before. Look at the story of Venerable Sariputta and Moggallana. Well, before they became student of Sanjay and the Buddha, they attended to a concert on a mountain top, and they were fed up with the sensual pleasures. That's the time they turned their lifestyle into spiritual path. So when you can realize where you are when you feel that kind of experiences. So Maggapala should be known by the very practitioner, and if there are teachers who are able to read others' mind, students' mind, they could of course pursue that. But basically we can feel it. We can understand that we are actually in a path or practice. So let me tell you two more discourses that you could refer to. One section is called Okkanti Sangyutta in Sangyutta Nikaya, Chakku Sutta, the eye. It's a very small discourse, but it gives a very nice answer to this question. The Buddha said there that if we are able to understand the impermanence and perishable nature and change in nature of our 6 senses and 6 sensory experiences, we would be able to either on the path to Sotapanna and in different levels, and we do not die without attaining to Sotapanna. So once again, if we contemplate on our 6 senses and 6 sensory experiences as impermanent and changing or otherwise, we would be able to attain Sotapanna, at least the first stage of enlightenment in this very life. So we can do that. And is it done through meditation, which is a very good question. First, I just want you to read this discourse, Silavanta Sutta in Sangyutta Nikaya. It is said, it is a dialogue between Venerable Sariputta and Venerable Kottita. In that discourse, Venerable Kottita asked the question from Venerable Sariputta like this: for the one who completes the training principle, what should be done to go forward? Venerable Sariputta said that individual should focus the 5 aggregates of clinging as impermanent, unsatisfactory, non-self with appropriate attention, yoniso manasikara. Simply, it means that the one who has completed the training principles should focus the mind towards himself, the 5 aggregates of clinging, form, feeling, perception, mental formation, and consciousness as impermanent, unsatisfactory, non-self, and empty, and so on. Then he could attain to Sotapanna, Venerable Sariputta said. Then the question is coming after that, what should that Sotapanna or the extreme enter, should do to attain the next level of enlightenment? And the Venerable Sariputta's answer is same as before. He said that focus the 5 aggregates of clinging as impermanent, unsatisfactory, and non-self. And there are other ways, of course, but I just mentioned only 3 characteristics. So then he could attain to Anagami. Likewise, Venerable Sariputta said that to attain to each stages of enlightenment, everyone has to do the same thing, focus the 5 aggregates of clinging. Instead of telling meditation, bhavana, Venerable Sariputta clearly mentioned that mental cultivation through reflection, and we should make sure that we have to see the impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and non-self here in this reflection. So bhavana again is a very big word, and the very word bhavana could be used for the whole teaching of the Buddha. It is not only the sitting meditation. It means that all kind of postures and all kind of behaviors with the right understanding. If there are right understanding, right reflection, appropriate attention, consciousness is there, it is a meditation. even during this Dhamma discussion, we have a meditation because we let our mind to develop on Sila, Samadhi and Panya. So friends, if you mean that meditation is only in the sitting posture, it is not what the Buddha mean. With the word meditation, Buddha means the cultivation of mind on Sila, Samadhi and Panya to destroy greed, hatred and delusion. So that would be the short answer I could give now. Read the Silavanta Sutta in the Sangyutta Nikaya. The next question is with reference to the Aganya Sutta, how were human born looking differently? Skin color, features, were not they all supposed to look the same? Sister Nalin Janice. I think this is a very interesting question. I was asking this question at my young age because of some reason, and I found the answer from discourse, especially Chulakama Vibhanga Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, Sutta number 135. If you look at the Aganya Sutta, we can see that the Buddha is clearly mentioning the causal sequences of how human beings turn into greed, hatred and ignorance. Earlier they were not like that, but due to causes and conditions, people became deluded, more cruel because of the craving. So due to such behaviors and also social context, people are to recognize differently. If we, I think Nalin Janice has read Aganya Sutta, and others would read the Aganya Sutta as well. So you can see why and which phase of life the kingship came into exist, and all these caste system in India came into exist. And today we can see white people, black people, Asian, and tall people, fat people, thin people. So that is because of karma in a way. And also when we say karma, it is not something we brought into this life from previous life. Even now we are doing karma. Karma is intention, as mentioned earlier. So depending on the karma, depending on the nature, the world we live, and the climate changes and changes in the atmosphere, differences of the appearance of people could be true reality. So in my answer, I can say that if we are able to keep our mind clean and clear, many things could be solved. And even maybe in the future, it doesn't mean that we have a guarantee that we could get everything solved out right now, but we can make sure that things could be better in the future if we cleanse our mind. So that is what Aganya Sutta said at the end. And also Chulakama Vibhanga Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya 135 clearly said that some people are beautiful because they practiced loving kindness in previous lives. So they are reborn with nice and beautiful complexion. And those who are ugly, because of their anger and quick temper and ill will in their mind in previous life. And why human beings die well before they live life or whole lifespan? Buddha in Chulakama Vibhanga Sutta said that they kill living beings intentionally in previous life. As a result, they die. Why reason before they live lifespan? And why people are so wise at the very early stage of their life? Because they were doing so many good things in their life, and those who are not didn't do much on that. So there are 14 questions put forward for the Buddha by by a person in the Chulakama Vibhanga Sutta, and Buddha gave answers to those questions. I urge you to read Chulakama Vibhanga Sutta for some answers with regard to this question. So so do not expect that everyone becomes the same, because biologically things are different, and by way of thinking we are different. Even the enlightened beings did not have that kind of same things in their life. So do not expect such things, because we just want to make sure our enlightenment and the physical appearance is not a matter for enlightenment. So I think that's the time available for the second questions. So
Thank you, Bante, for answering those two questions to, I think it's Nalini Janis and Brother Jerry Lim. Looks like we've lost Bante Sankicha for a while. I was supposed to bring him back. But there's one last question. His Bante is back. There's this last question. I think that both the Bantes can actually help answer this question.
okay, so I take the but is Bante Sangeet just going to answer these questions first? Or while he's
Okay, you want to go first? Oh, Bante?
you better go first.
Okay, so let's see. Why do Buddhists chant and pray? Why pujas? I thought Buddhism is a practice to be applied in our day-to-day lives. Okay, so this is a very common general question that somehow reminds me of actually the Buddha's gradual path. You know, we all enter to the Buddha's teachings, Buddha's asana at different times of our life, at different levels of our wisdom, understanding, our reasoning. If you think about the faculties that we explained earlier, right? Saddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya. We all are having these faculties in very different levels. Okay. So when you look at the question, so where these parts fall into under these five faculties, mostly we can connect these things, you know, pujas, prayers, chanting, mostly to the first faculty, right? Saddha, the confidence. This is where people develop this confidence in the Buddha's teachings. I'll take my personal life experience, right? As we were born in a Buddhist country, we grew up in a Buddhist society. From our early age, we did all these things, right? We used to go to temple every day. We did the chanting. We helped the temple clean, and we did everything, right? So I see that how I developed that confidence, how I got closer to the Buddha, his teachings. So this is very unique thing as I see, as far as the gradual training, gradual path is concerned, right? Not everybody get into the Dhamma with perfect understanding, perfect knowledge, right? It has to be reached step by step. So therefore, different people are in different places in their spiritual journey. So they all need these different parts of the teachings, you know. So those parts can be helpful to some audiences, right? So different people seek for blessings, some relief from the teachings. You know, they need the blessings, and we should not forget that Buddhism is not only that. That is the important thing to remember, right? If we stop right at the chanting, pujas, prayers, and everything, we would not get the essence of the Buddha's teachings, right? Uh, as you can see, as monks, even though we practice the Dhamma, Samatha, Vipassana, we preach the Dhamma and everything, we do everything, right, Bante? We do the chanting, we do prayers, we still find the harmony in these practices, right? This is the marvel of the Dhamma. You don't criticize them, you don't devalue them, but you find the essence of them. How these things can be helpful to us even to continue, move forward in this journey. So this is very important. I want to remind you that whenever people begin to talk about the deep Dhamma, when they begin to especially practice meditation, many people criticize. Some people are chanting, praying, offering flowers, foods to the Buddha. So these things, it's not a sign of the wisdom, right? So we have to be aware of the gradual path. So some people are in the beginning level, they need them, right? So no matter what we do and where we are, we have to appreciate what they are doing. So this is how they approach the Dhamma. They are still in that level. So we have to be very compassionate to them. We have to be very patient with that. Okay, so that's what I can say to that question. Bante can go
That's
into.
a very good answer, Bante. Yes, as you said, I can add some things. Even behind me, you can see flowers and the Buddha statue. We do worship the Buddha every day, couple of times. We do that kind of thing just to get into the right practice. It's a kind of means to us to be reminded ourselves that we should practice Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. My mind goes to a particular this incident happened at the time of the Buddha. One of the person came to the Buddha. His name was Moggallana. He was an accountant. So he told the Buddha that I'm an accountant and I used to practice new people by counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how I train people. Buddha said to Moggallana, in my teaching, I do the same thing. I do not teach people, some people, the whole set of teachings. As I discovered, I asked them to clean the ground and put the water and wear the robes, and if they became monks, and then try to walk mindfully. These are some of the small steps I teach them for months and uh, until they get ready for meditation. So Buddha himself said that this is a gradual, training principle. There are gradual path practices, and the wisdom could be developed gradually. So Buddha himself indicated that many people in the world should hang on to some type of practices mindfully with wisdom, as Bhante explained. Then only they could understand the significance of the Dhamma. For example, if we are going to teach children the formulas, theories of maths and science, it doesn't work. We have to teach them very basic things such as the alphabet and how to recognize their parents, how to speak 2-3 words. So that's how we do with the children. So when they grow old and develop themselves in order to understand concepts, we talk about the deep things. So the practices praying and chanting would be good for those people, especially and even monks and nuns who have been taking the practice into highest extent do it, because that also bring joy and happiness. In Vimukta Sutta, Buddha clearly said that some people can attain enlightenment by listening to chanting, because during the chanting we can concentrate well to the mind and also the chanting and then it's a pathway to go into the meaning of the chanting, so that we could develop all kinds of spiritual faculties. So I think uh, even meditation, if we do it for some minor interior purposes, it doesn't work. But for a wise person, chanting and praying could be a very intensive meditation experience. So it depends on how we take them. So that's what I wanted to share according to the time. As Bhante Sankicha mentioned, developing Shraddha with this kind of praying and chanting would be crucial for our practice. Thank you very much. I saw some of the questions put forward in the live comments. I think Ilatan was asking some questions. They are deep actually. and that person was asking the questions about how to keep his memory with the suttas while he is listening to Dhamma. Sometime after listening to Dhamma talks, he could not, that person could not remember the suttas. That kind of questions were there, and some of the questions. But I think I do not know whether we have time to ask question. Yeah, I used to listen to Dhamma talks and Sutta. Despite the fact that I understand the content of the Dhamma talks, I tend to forget the teaching after the talk. As a result, I have difficulty to retain information of what I learned. Please advise how to overcome this. I say a few words. Just keep some salient statement of the Buddha in each discourses, not everything. Just cut and clear some important statement and write it down. That's how I do. I write them down in piece of papers, maybe in my mobile phone. So I let myself to see them over and over again, and then I can remember. So when I talk to somebody, I keep thinking on that. I have that practice, and when I listen to Dhamma, those statements of the discourses come into my mind, and I can easily match with the sermons I listen to. So that's one thing I do. I think we could hear from Bhante Sankicha too about that.
Well, yeah. As we listen to the Dhamma, we should maintain the mindfulness, right? We should listen to the Dhamma mindfully. And as a part of that, before we completely realize or digest the Dhamma talk, keeping some information, as Bhante mentioned, special points in our mind for later use. From at other times, you can bring them into the present moment and reflect on them wisely. Or sometimes you can analyze it, or you sometimes you may see these Dhamma in your practical life, right? So don't worry. You don't have to completely understand the entire teachings in a given Dhamma talk right there, but try to stay mindful. And many people forget the Dhamma talks actually because they are not present, even though physically their mind, the mentality is not completely there, right? So still, it is possible to forget the entire teachings. But whatever hits you, whatever you find interesting and meaningful and helpful to you, try to remember that. Try to grab something for later use, right? But especially if you maintain the right mindfulness, attentive awareness as you listen to the Dhamma, it can be very helpful for you to understand the Dhamma right there. So it takes time, right? So we have to be patient. We need to give some time to us, but do not be discouraged, right? Okay.
Thank you, Bhante. I think we've come to the end of this evening session 1. We've taken almost 1 hour 45 minutes. 1 hour 50 minutes. That's a long time. I think we were only planning to do this for 1 hour 15 minutes. The fact that I see the way both the Bhantes were answering the questions with so much enthusiasm and was totally absorbed in the answers. I think it just goes to show that this makes for interesting listening, not just for the listener but also interesting for the speakers as well. So as I mentioned, because we have so many questions that still left unanswered, we'll probably have to do this in session 2 and session 3 in the near future. And I look forward to seeing Bhante Jinananda and Bhante Sankicha again for those sessions. So before we end this evening, let me take this opportunity to thank our sponsors and also to both our Bhantes, Bhante Sankicha and Bhante Jinananda, for sparing time this evening, and Bhante Jinananda for sparing his time this morning in Canada to be with us. So before we end, we would like to transfer the merits to the devas and also to the dearly departed beings. Bhante Jinananda, would you like to do that, please?
Yeah, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. On behalf of Venerable Sankicha, one of my teachers actually, I would like to thank everyone for organizing, especially Tilak and also the members of the Buddhist Mahavihara in Malaysia. May you all have these merits for your journey into Nirvana. And we would like to mention the name of the sponsor of today's virtual Dhamma discussion, that is Tim King Land. You accrue so much merits by sponsoring this virtual Dhamma discussion. Myself and Bante Sankit and everyone transfer merits to you and your family. May you be well, happy and peaceful. We first transfer blessings to departed relatives. Any relatives who passed away from team family, and all those who join with us, may their loved ones receive these blessings. May they be well, happy and peaceful. May they be able to attain Nibbana by the power of these merits. With this wholesome thought in mind, let's recite the stanza to transfer merits to departed relatives. Me ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Idang me ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Idang me ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. And the divine beings who are wholesome receive these blessings, and may they be able to cultivate their Dhamma for their Nibbana. In return, may they protect all these good people who sponsored this event and who organized this event, and also the Venerable Bante and all those who participate in this event. And we wish further that the divine beings help the human world to be away from the coronavirus, and all those who are affected, may they have blessings from the divine being to get cured from coronavirus. With this wholesome thought in mind, let's transfer merits to divine being. May they be well, happy and peaceful. May they attain Nibbana. Ittavata ca amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodangtu sabba sampatti siddhiya. Ittavata ca amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodangtu sabba sampatti siddhiya. Ittavata ca amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodangtu sabba sampatti siddhiya. Finally, we, myself and Bante Sankitya, bless each and everyone. May you all be well, happy and peaceful. May you be able to practice Sila, Samadhi and Panya, and make sure you're enlightened in this very life. Our special thanks goes to Leslie Tilak and the committee of Buddhist Mahavihara, who did various things to make their members enlightened on the Dhamma. May you be well, happy and peaceful. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you for the questions. We try our best to answer the questions in the next session. Thank you.
Thank you, Bante. Thank you very much. So we'll see you soon. To all our listeners, have a pleasant evening, and we will see you on Sunday for the next Dhamma talk by Buddha Tan Seng Chai. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bante. Good night.